Hello again, I am Blunty, and this is the TCL T32M6C, a 32-inch curved monitor. Well, it's technically 31.5-inch, but, 32-inch rolls off the tongue a little bit better. It's 1080p, and according to the spec sheet on GearBest, it'll run up to a refresh rate of 75 Hz. Though that said, I have been unable to get Windows to recognize that fact. So I've been jammed up against the 60 Hz refresh rate. Regardless of whether I'm using the DVI or HDMI input, there's also a VGA input on here, but that's so old school I don't even have any cables for that hanging around these days. On the matter of the curved screen, it's a 1800R curvature rate, in other words, relatively subtle and just about right for a desk space viewing distance that a computer monitor suits. Personally speaking, I'm not a huge fan of curved monitors, but the curve here is subtle enough for me to have adjusted to it pretty quickly. The panel type is VA, or Vertical Alignment Panel, less common than the IPS and TN panel technologies you'll usually find in PC monitors, but functionally it sits kinda between the two as a kind of compromise. It offers up a surprisingly rich and colourful image for a monitor this big at this price. And on the subject of price, right now, as the review goes live, there's a coupon code in the down below area which will snatch you one of these from GearBest for $285.99. Don't know how long that coupon code will last for, so if you are tempted, pull the trigger sooner rather than later. Contrast is good. Blacks are deep and crisp. Colors and tones are in the pretty good category. Your ability to fine-tune the image is pretty limited, especially compared with the $900 ViewSonic 1440p 165Hz monster that is my own main monitor. But the basic necessary image adjustments you'll find on monitors are all here, of course. It has a few modes for normal use and movies and the like, and it has a couple of game-specific auto settings for FPS and RTS. Frankly, I find these make the image quite a bit less pleasing. It kind of washes everything out and lightens up all the shadows, which can help you spot things in-game, of course, but it just doesn't look as good, so I don't tend to use them. There's even an option to overlay a crosshair in the center of the screen for however useful that is. The response time is just 6 milliseconds. Now, everyone has a different sensitivity to screen response times, but I consider 8 milliseconds to be the acceptable ceiling if you love fast twitch gaming. And certainly here, at 6 milliseconds, I have no complaints at all to make about gaming on this monitor. It is a wonderfully clean image, and there's naturally more motion blur, of course, than on my, again, $900 King of the Hill ViewSonic, which has 165 Hz refresh rate and 1 millisecond response time, so it's not really a fair comparison, but that ViewSonic is my best of the best reference point, so be it. But on this monitor, motion blur is still pretty well controlled. I didn't find it hindering gameplay in any meaningful way. Viewing angles are also quite impressive, although with a curved monitor that's far less important, because when you're off axis of a curved monitor anyway, the curve becomes more of an issue. But the nice wide viewing angle does mean that if you wanted to team 2 or 3 of these for a huge surround monitor arrangement, it'll work great at keeping things looking consistent. Even brightness is great. From an aesthetics standpoint, it is really quite nice too. A subtle and elegant glossy white chin bar and relatively thin and unobtrusive black bezel surround it, and from the back a smooth and pleasantly glossy white. The on-screen menus are simple enough to navigate and well laid out for what few options there are. The other main compromise at this price point is the stand. While it's very, very sturdy and strong and doesn't have any significant wobble to speak of, has a cast aluminium construction and a subtle unobtrusive design that I quite like, but the monitor itself is not VESA compatible, so there's no other mounting choices at all. No wall mount, no arm mounting, and while you have a small amount of tilt adjustment, there's no height adjustment here, and it is a little low for my own personal tastes, quite frankly. My only other, very slight annoyance is there's no onboard speakers or pass-through audio jack, which would have made it more suited for using with my consoles, which I would have liked. But that is not an impossible issue to work around either, as there are HDMI audio breakout boxes available quite cheaply. Outside of wishing I could have more mounting options, I'd still call this a damn good monitor. I've never come across TCL as a brand before, but a little research shows that they've actually got a pretty good reputation in recent years for extremely good value TVs in particular. They are a value brand, so the feature sets are a bit thin, but at the end of the day, what you get here is a remarkably good monitor for everyday use and gaming, and at this size I found it especially pleasant for TV and movie watching as well. So if you're looking for a big, bright, colourful, punchy monitor with a significant screen size, it is worth taking a look at this one, guys. At this size, I personally would prefer 1440p or 4K, but of course monitors at this size, at that resolution, are going to cost you much more. So thanks for watching, I am Blunty, and I will catch you next time.